that you're able to translate to your everyday life?
Everything, absolutely everything. Everything, 100%. Remember, my background, it was in psychology. So when I DJ, when I'm dancing, I'm looking at people and their interactions on the floor. And when you look at a floor, you can tell when somebody's had a bad day because body language doesn't lie. That's what I was going to go into.
Hey, all right. So I am now on the line with a Miss Nicole La Bailarina. Um,
Hello, hello.
so you are a salsa dance instructor as well as performer. Is that correct?
That is correct. That is
And
correct.
and so if I'm not mistaken, you were born and raised in Nashville, Tennessee. Is that also correct?
That is also correct. You have done your research.
I try to do a little bit. I try to do a little bit. How you doing today, Nicole?
I am doing wonderful. How are you?
I cannot complain. I'm very excited to have you on the show. I really appreciate you taking time actually to talk to me.
Yeah, of course.
So I guess I really want to I guess I really want to start this out. I'm very curious to hear about your childhood growing up in Nashville. What was that like?
Uh, Boring, I guess. I don't really know. I mean, I don't really can you even describe a childhood living in a city? I mean, it's cool. I love Nashville. I can say about growing up in Nashville, the allergies are horrible. If you are not from Nashville, it's like the worst place to live for allergies from here after they lived here for about 10 years. If they didn't have allergies already, it's bad. So from that, I suffer from allergies. That's the only thing I can think of to describe Nashville. But other than that, it's cool. A lot of people are moving here now. Music
I
and
said I thought it was known for its jazz scene, but the first thing you jumped to was allergies.
anything else. But yeah, I mean, it's Music City. So a lot of people move here. A lot of people, I think, what did I read? You can't cough without hitting at least three musicians in a group of five or something
Oh.
like that. Like there's so many people here for music. There's live music everywhere. So it's a blessing. And that's something that I didn't realize that other cities had. Like if I walk around downtown, which I don't anymore because there's so much traffic. And we're also known for bachelorette parties. So there are a lot of, I think we've outranked Las Vegas as the number one bachelorette party city recently. Um, so
That's
you walk around
crazy.
downtown, yeah, downtown, and music and bachelorettes, but there's music everywhere, and it's all most of it's free. You walk into a bar, it's free. You just buy drinks, and the music is playing, and it's live. And the farmers market, there's music everywhere.
Okay, that's awesome. That's awesome. I'm
Yeah.
very curious to hear. I guess where are your parents from? And what brought them to Nashville? You're telling me.
Yeah. My parents are from Ghana and West Africa, and they were part of a dance troupe, and they traveled all over. They performed in the Olympics back in the day. They were like performing in near the Vatican. They were performing in Italy, Canada, like all over. They were like high school, so they moved with like a group of people who I consider my aunts and uncles now. And somebody was like, a good place for kids to go to school is in Tennessee, so they moved to the chaperone moved all of them to Nashville, Tennessee. So that's here I am.
Okay, that's crazy. Well, I gotta ask you this then. Please tell me what was it like growing up in that household? With parents from Ghana as well as dancers as well. What was that like for you?
I will say growing up with dancers, it was probably annoying because my dad is a master drummer. So like sometimes in the morning he would like wake up and start drumming on the weekends, and you're like, oh God. And then but I wasn't a good dancer. So I didn't like dancing. Like I did not like dancing. There's a lady here that my dad used to work with at a place called Global Education Center. It's a nonprofit here in Nashville. Shout out. And the lady who owns it, Ellen, was like, I remember when you would not dance. What has changed? Now I rent for classes and all kinds of things. She's like, I would have never in a million years imagined that you would be dancing because that was just something my parents did and I wasn't interested. And as a Ghanaian, with my mom's specific tribe, and I think a lot of Ghanaian tribes, like when you're younger, as a woman, when you come into womanhood, basically when you start your period, you do this um traditional like ceremony thing that requires that you dance, and the elders told me that I was stiff, and so I was like, I don't like dancing, I don't want to dance, I don't want to do this. So, and I was 11. Growing up in that household, back to answer your question, was it was definitely a blessing because it's given me some different perspective on life that I wouldn't have if I would have grown up with parents who were born and raised in America, who were used to the way that, or were like just grew up in this society and the way that this society operates. Like I have kind of like an outside perspective because my parents were not from here. So I have like much more appreciation for things. And when I travel home and like, or when we go to Ghana, I have much more appreciation for like running water, stoves that stay on, like I don't eat meat when I go to Ghana. So like just a bunch of different things. This is crazy. This whole conversation is crazy. But yeah, to see an actual like watch your meat get killed, I was like, oh, I'm not eating that.
Wow.
Which
Okay.
in turn should make me not eat meat. But when we're so separated from our food, so I like I think I had this realization like in the last couple of years. I was like, oh, chicken. Like I'm eating a chicken. Like it's a chicken. It was a chicken. It's not just like this breast or thigh fillet on a plate. Like because you think chicken is the food of the animal when you're eating it. There's like this weird disconnect. For me, there was anyway. And now more and more when I look at food, I'm like, oh, that was an animal once.
Mm. Now that's right. And
Yeah,
as yeah, especially in America, we definitely have like a disconnect from our food, man. That is
oh,
wild.
100%. 100%.
Um, yeah, that's very wild. So I'm very curious. Did were you close to, I guess your grandparents and your cousins and everything, or were your parents strictly here by themselves?
They were here by themselves. So my parents, they weren't even together when they were in the troop that traveled here, and then they fell in love somehow. And so all of my grandparents, my cousins, my everybody is in Ghana. The people who they came here with, I call my aunts and uncles, and I've met my grandmother like twice. I've on my mom's side and different family members and stuff like that, and they call us and stuff like that, but I don't have the same relationship. And that was something that I was kind of envious of kids growing up. They're like, oh, I went to my grandma's house over the summer, or I didn't have that. That was not something that was part of my experience. I didn't have like those blood cousins to get in trouble with or do stuff with. I had the cousins of the people who they came with. Their kids are like were my cousins growing up, and we got to hang out, but it was just different. Like I didn't have that experience.
No, I understand. I understand what you mean. I definitely understand that. Let me ask you this then. You kind of already spoke on it, but growing up in the household, how important was music growing up?
Oh, for my dad, 100% all
I
the
mean,
time. Like,
for you as well. Yeah, your whole family. So
oh,
music was a big
me,
thing.
ha ha. That's so funny that you say that because music for my dad is like a huge thing. He used to DJ. He said before I was born, he was DJing like in a country bar or something like that. He music of all kinds. He DJs to this day. Lots of African parties, other types of parties. He DJs all the time. But me, it's funny because I'm like basically turning into my father because I DJ now primarily, but I don't listen to music that often. Like my boyfriend will have music going in the house all the time. He doesn't start the car until he's like picked out what he's gonna put like plug his adapter to, and I'm like, get the show on the road. Like I don't listen to music in the car. I don't unless I'm dancing to the music, unless it's very intentional or I'm trying to find new songs for salsa stuff. I don't listen to music. I can't listen to music and count money. I can't, yeah, because I was working in retail and people would turn on music when the store was closed. And I was like, y'all have to turn that on while I count the registers down. Like, I cannot focus when there's music. I don't listen to music and do anything, which is so crazy. My best friend she listens to music all the time. And I'm like, can y'all just have some silence?
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, yeah, it's
Okay,
different.
it's very different. I mean, but you're not the first person I've met who, I guess does not have quite an infatuation for music. So everyone's different.
Yeah, I love music when I'm dancing to it. Other than that,
No, I understand. I definitely understand. So tell me this then. I'm very curious then. So growing up in Nashville, I guess, you say you're into your studies, but what were some of your hobbies? Growing up, what did you enjoy doing?
studying. reading. I love to read. Look, you laughing at me. I love to read. I read all the time. Like during the summers, I would just lay on the couch and read, or um, hang out with my friends, ride bikes, rollerblading. That's it. That's really it. I am boring.
I mean, no, that's not boring. It's just it's just different. That's what you like doing.
Yeah.
That's amazing. So so then tell me this. Okay, so you're growing up and everything. So what happens after you graduate high school? Do you go to college, or like
Yeah.
what are your goals at that time?
I went to school for psychology, and I had originally a minor in Spanish. And then I decided that no, I did not want to do that. I was going to change my minor a million times. I was going to change it to like history. And so something happened in high school. There used to bellied in high school, and I wanted her to teach me because I was like, okay, that's kind of cool. And like at that time, like at the end of high school, like I would start dancing to music videos, like Britney Spears music videos and stuff, because all the music videos had dance. And so like, oh, something else I did was watch MTV. So MTV, TRL, 106 in Park on BET, those type of things. There was dance in everybody's music video. So I was like, I would try when people weren't around. And then there was a group in my high school called Dance Extravaganza, and so I tried to learn to dance there, and there was a girl who did belly dance in that, and I was like, I want to learn how to do that. And so she tried to teach me, and then she was like, your arms are not, which is, you hear that with women now all the time when it comes to like dancing and styling. She was like, I think you just need to really work on your arms. She's like, you have a good grasp of this stuff, but your arms just like, she's like, take a ballet class if you can. So when I got to college and I took ballet, and I wasn't there for anything else. I just wanted to learn how to do the arm thing so I could get back to learning how to do the belly dance. And so I'm getting my degree in psychology. And one of the you have to get like you have to take like the general courses or something like that. And one of them was dance studies or dance something. So I took that. And I remember talking about like my ballet class and all of the things. They're like, you should join the dance company. Like you should take dance classes at the school instead of paying extra for outside classes. And I was like, bet. So so that's what I did. So I have a major in psychology with a minor in theater that was dance focused, and a minor in dance because dance was in the theater program study. So I could double minor basically in dance. So that was cool.
Okay, that's awesome. So tell me this. I'm very curious. Can you tell me about your beginner stage and all that? Then what was that like for you?
I don't remember. I have the worst memory, just FYI. But the ballet classes were ballet is a discipline. And I don't think that I had done many disciplines before. So I didn't play sports. Um, I had danced probably for like 6 weeks when I was a kid, and I probably did like taekwondo for a month or so when I was a kid, but I had never done anything that was like a hardcore discipline that kids get when they're growing up by joining sports or doing any of those extracurricular activities. And so it was definitely a different type of discipline because it's one of the mind and the body. And just trying to figure out how my body worked to make it do the things that it was supposed to do. And like, I really grew to understand my body through that, especially in my minor. So I started with the ballet class, but then at MTSU, Middle Tennessee State University, which is where I went, their dance theater program it has a strong focus on modern dance. So there's like all of these weird angular movements and all of this pedestrian movement and stuff like that. But you have to have control, and you also have to have like some kind of semblance of previous ballet training, just with the way that because it was like a runaway from ballet, but there's still like influence in it. But I'm talking a lot. So anyway, the beginning stages, it was more so just like really a discovery of myself and my body, and ultimately my freedom, that I didn't have before.
I understand
I'm
that.
going to make my answer shorter.
No, you're fine. I was totally fine. No, you're perfectly fine. Like, seriously. So I guess I want to let me ask you this then. So you joined the performance team, or what is it, the dance school team? Is that what you called it?
It was a dance theater company.
Okay. And so were they teaching you just different types of dance, or was it specifically one thing?
So the classes were ballet, modern, tap, jazz, all of those things on a very adult level. And then there was the so that was the dance program, like where you either got your collateral or you got your minor or whatever. And then there was the dance theater program where they would teach choreography or have explorations or whatever, and then you would perform that for a show at the end of the come in. It was a really very thorough and intense program. I couldn't recommend more to anybody who was looking for like a local dance community thing, like to go to college. I mean, nobody I think in the dance scene really is not in college already or older, but MTSU has a really, really good dance program.
Okay, and so were you performing as well?
I did one year. I
Oh, what?
did. There was a teacher that came in Boulder, Colorado that I wanted to go to because at the time, after I had like discovered the dance program by my junior year, and I was all my classes were dance classes because I'd finished most of my psychology classes. I was like, I want to go to this school in Boulder, Colorado called Naropa, and I'm going to get a degree and my master's in dance therapy, somatic movement. And there was a teacher who taught there, and the teacher at my school knew her, and so he brought her in to set a piece on our school. So I did that season when she was here. So yeah, because I was
Uh,
like, I want to know some.
yeah. And so I'm curious, were you a fan of performing or not really? Or are you? Or are you still a fan of performing?
At that time, the performing was different because you were on a stage with a bunch of people and you were moving together. And there was not a method to the madness. How do I say this? Ugh. Like, so you learned like we had choreography class. Like we learned how to break down choreography. We learned how to critique choreography. We learned how to critique performances and all of that. So by the time you get to the actual performing, it's different. Like you get on stage performing for, it's not like salsa performances. It was very different. Like then it didn't bother me. I didn't feel like I was doing something good or bad or that people were judging me for something. It was like more about the movement and the theme and variation and making sure that everything was executed to like to tell this larger story. Whereas with salsa, it's your moves are on something is a showcase. And so I don't actually like doing salsa performances.
Okay, I understand that. I try performance as well, and I was not the biggest fan of it either, honestly.
Yeah, it's it's a different beast. Like I love it when I do it with my because I have a team. I do Music City Mambo, but we're doing Kedel Flores choreography this season, this past season and next season, and I love working with my girls, and I love that that community building and that this the I love the rehearsals and I love all the work that goes into that. And I love that my girls perform. Like I love that my girls get to perform. And I'm not saying that I hate performing. I love social dancing more than I love performing.
And
I'm that person. Yeah.
I feel like I'm not. I definitely agree with you on that. I feel like I'm that same way as well.
Yeah.
So, so I guess let me ask you this then: how did you get introduced to the Latin scene? Then how did that come about? And when did that come about as well?
Around 2011, 2012. So I was dancing after I finished school. I was dancing in a freelance dance company, Houston Dance here in Nashville, and I injured my back. So like modern dance is full body movement, swinging and doing like all of it. Like it was pretty intensive, and I pulled like the whole right side of my back, and I couldn't do anything. And I was like, well, I want to dance. Like by that time I had the dancing bug and I was just like, I want to dance more. I want to dance. And I remember somebody had told me about a place called Ibiza nightclub when I was in college. And I went once, but I was like, when I went, it was like reggaeton and I didn't really know what I was doing. It was fun, you know, party, whatever. Cause I didn't really go to that many parties when I was in college. I can count on both hands how many parties I went to while I was in college because I was studying. So, so when I left, I was studying and working. I had like 3 jobs while I was in college, and I was working 21 hours. I was doing 21 hours at one point in classes, so I was not partying, and I was an RA. So I somebody told me about that place and I went and I was like, okay, that's cool because it was like in my neighborhood where my parents lived. My college was like 30 minutes from my parents' house. And so because I love my
That's a
so
great way to save money too, though. So yeah.
right, exactly.
You
I
stayed?
actually wish now. Oh, go ahead.
I say, were you? Did you stay at home or were you on campus?
No, I was on campus and
Oh, okay, okay.
because I was an RA, but I wish now that I would have went to to get like my associate's degree first and like a what are those colleges, like a community college first, and save a bunch of money. So so I had pulled my back when I was in that dance company, and I wanted to figure out how to dance. And I remember the one time that I went to Ibiza, and I was like, well, let me try this and see if this works, like if I can do this. And it didn't hurt because I didn't have to like, I wasn't doing like a whole lot of body movement, which now I incorporate more into my social dancing. But for the majority, like your upper body is still, it's stable. Like there's some rotation, but it doesn't have to be like, you're not like undulating. It's not sensual bachata. At the time, salsa was not anything like sensual bachata, and it still is not, thank God. But uh, so I was able to do that, and so then I just like actually able to do it, and the rhythms made sense to me right away. I didn't have any trouble counting. I figured out where the one was, which I actually attribute to my father and my mom because of my dad being a percussionist and music being in the house, and like Afro Latin salsa is an Afro Latin rhythm, and my dad is an African drummer. So like I heard all of those rhythms. The clave is not a stranger to me. Like all of that stuff I heard growing up.
But
So
I want to ask you this though. Going back to when you, I guess, were taking those belly dance classes, what changed? You know, you said as a child you did not enjoy dancing. So yeah, what changed to make you enjoy it so much for you?
I
You
don't
know why?
know. No, like I saw the belly dancing thing and I just thought it was cool. I was like, oh, that's so different than tap, jazz, ballet, blah blah blah, whatever it is that these class. And it wasn't African dancing, but I think I still have a pull to ethnic dances, I guess. So like seeing the belly, and even this girl was like this tall, skinny white girl, but like I was like, that is so cool. And the music, like I just really enjoyed it, and the movement, it was just very, I don't know, I liked it a lot.
Was it was in your youth? Was that your way of rebelling, trying to be different than your parents?
Wow. Oh, probably. I don't know. My dad, he teaches still at a college, at a university here in Nashville, and he tells his class all the time. He's like, she does all this salsa stuff and ballet stuff, but she doesn't want to come in here and do any of this African dance with. And I'm not trying to rebel against them, but I love I love salsa. But I am like considering recently. I haven't talked to my dad about it yet, but like sitting with him and studying all that they did when they came, because it's what better way. I mean, I'm dancing salsa, like I said, Afro Latin. I have the Afro in my backyard, like in my bloodline. I probably should know this. For anybody that's ever looking for body movement or styling classes, like get your ass in an African dance class, learn how to open up your chest and your back and move.
No, definitely. Your parents have so much. They have a life's worth of experience, man. So yeah, you should definitely take advantage of that.
I definitely need to.
Yeah. So you told me though, you go to that, you start taking the reggaeton classes, right? Or and I guess the salsa classes.
Yeah, so the place Ibiza was like reggaeton, top 40, some salsa, but like a little bit of bachata, a lot of cumbia. But I didn't know what the hell I was listening to. I didn't know what it was. I didn't know what was.
So were they offering classes, or were you just going to like the socials?
They had a class, so it's a bar, and it's actually right across the street from my house. Like I literally still live 5 minutes from my parents. So they Ibiza is a nightclub. It's a Latin nightclub, and so like I think on the night that I went, it was a Saturday night, the first time I ever went, and it was like their party night, like because people get into this whole debate, and it happens in Nashville. I don't know if it happens a lot of other places, but we have like a Latin scene, like there are a lot of Latinos, there are a lot of Hispanic people, there are a lot of other South Americans that live here, people who dance salsa, which the Latin Americans think that we're like, we do a lot of choreography. And then you have like a lot of people who go to I like to call them studio babies, like the studio babies who have learned to dance salsa. And when they go out and they're expecting it to be a Latin night, they're like, what is all of this other stuff? So when I first went, it was like I went on a Latin night. Like that is what I went to. It's their night. They work hard. They go into their club. Like this is their music. This is what they listen to. Blah blah blah. So the salsa that I saw was like kitchen salsa, like what they learned growing up
It's like
at
that street
their
salsa, right?
street salsa, like the stuff, like it's just like moving to a salsa beat with a partner, but not necessarily codified steps that we learn in a studio. So I went to that a couple times. I was like, oh, this is fun. And then I went to that once. And then when I hurt myself, I went again on the Saturday nights, and I was like, okay, this is cool, but like there's not So they were coming in with their partner. They're not dancing with people. They're not asking people to dance. It's like they came to get drunk, turn up, take somebody home, or be there with their mate. Like they ain't worried about you dancing salsa. So then there was a guy that I would always dance with when I went, and he was like, you need to join this group on meetup.com called Diablos que Bailan. And I was like, okay. So I joined it, I think in like 2011, but I never went to any of the meetups. He's like, you really need to go to this class on Thursday nights at the Coleman Rec Center taught by this lady named Amy. And so I finally went to class, and that's where I learned, oh, like the actual steps of salsa. And then I learned that Ibiza had a Thursday night was just salsa and like sprinkles of bachata, lots of merengue because that was what was popular at the time. So yeah, it just kind of slowly evolved. The more information that I got, the more I was able to get into it. And then Ibiza had classes, and so then I would take the classes, and I was dancing as many nights a week as possible, like 5 nights a week. If there was, it was
That's
fun.
awesome. So I guess let me ask you the same question then. What was your what was your beginner stage like at that point?
What is anybody's beginner stage like? You think you know what you're doing, and then when 7 years later you look at a video and you're like, what the fuck was that? Like I think I thought I knew what I was doing because I had a background in dance, and I what is your primary dance? Because I actually don't know a lot about you. Is it kizomba? Is it salsa? Is it what is it?
So I think salsa. I started salsa back when I was like 2021, and I'll
Uh-huh.
be 28 this year.
Is that your primary dance that you do
Is
most of
it
the time now?
my favorite is probably kizomba to be honest though.
Okay, that's what I thought.
But
Um,
I'm best at salsa though.
your best at salsa. So where was I going to go with that? I forgot what I said. But have you heard? Some of my students just sent me something about this, like the salsa hell curve.
So with like the beginner stage, like just a learning curve, or what is that exactly?
Yeah, so like for leads, like the learning curve is steeper. Like it takes them longer, so they're at the bottom longer because there's more responsibility in the dance, right? Like you have to learn to start and stop the dance. You have to know the timing. You have to lead her. You have to lead yourself. You have to make sure she doesn't run into anybody. You got to make sure you don't run into anybody. Like there's just a lot of stuff coming at you at the beginning. So then the guys are here for a long time, and then when it finally just clicks, then they go upward. But for women, when we start, because we're following and we're just like, your teacher's like, just shut off your brain and follow. Like you think that you're doing better than you actually are, but you don't realize that you're heavy as shit. You're actually not following. You're back leading, like all of the things. So I think I thought I was good, but I'm pretty sure I was heavy as hell. And my dance partner now, he was like, when you first started, like I turned you and you went the opposite way and you thought that you like knew what you were doing. So that that was humbling. But I follow. I think that we all tend to have very skewed memory of how we started and how good we were and like how not awkward it might have been because one of the guy's jobs is to make you feel like you're fine.
Yeah,
Right?
no,
Like
definitely.
so especially if you dance with somebody who's a higher level than you and they're dancing to your level, you don't ever feel like you're doing anything wrong. So there are videos of me dancing where I can tell by the look on my face that I'm having fun, but I think that I know what I'm doing, like snotty little brat. But now I'm like, girl, if you would have found like I was a heavy follow. I was because everybody likes that resistance at the beginning. It's because you don't know what the fuck you're doing. So you need somebody to like be very clear and tell you where you're going. So my stage at the beginning was I thought I knew what I was doing, but now looking back, I did not.
Okay. So let me ask you this real quick, and it's kind of like a two-part question. All right.
Okay.
I want to like give value to people who may be listening. So with that in mind, like, trying to give value, what things do you know now that you would tell your beginner self? Like what words of advice, what wisdom could you give, your previous self?
Oh my God, that is such a loaded question because that's something that I encounter every day when I'm like teaching people because it's such a fine line. Like all the stuff that I wish, and even when I started teaching, I was trying to teach people what I wish I would have known at the beginning, but that's not what anybody wants to know at the beginning because when you start, you just want to have fun. Like, and I'm glad that I did have fun. So I don't think that I could change this. Like I would tell her anything because it would have changed the trajectory completely. And I think I would have been more frustrated with myself if I had given myself like well, that's not how you do your basic. You need to be putting your weight here and you need to be doing this and your body shift is supposed to be like this and blah, 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 blah. Like the stuff that I feed on now to improve myself as a dancer and to be more efficient is not anything that I would have needed to know as a beginner. And I've even changed my classes to reflect that. Like my beginner one class is an intro class. It's intro to salsa. You learn moves, you have fun. It's a blast. Like we're dancing, you're doing your right turns, you're doing your basic to the side and forward and back. And we don't ever usually use the basic to the side. Like you're doing all kinds of stuff. I learned, teach you the cumbia. Like I teach you all of those things and a cross by elite, and it's fantastic. If you come back and you decide to do level 2, at that point, and then so for my beginner salsa one class, I'm about to implement where you have to take level 1 twice, and you have to go social dancing at least some the 6-week transition period time, whatever. I'm trying to think of some way to like where they have to go social dancing to advance to level 2, because I need to know by level 2 that you actually want to do it, right? Like that you want to be dancing salsa and you've seen people and you're like, how do I dance like that? And then I can teach you all of the things that I wish I would have known at the beginning. Not super in depth, like in depth, but not super overwhelming, but teaching you body posturing, teaching you how to be a better follow. Because that's something too that gets missed. And like, I think that's another reason why, I don't know if this happens where you live, but where do you live?
Oh, so currently I'm in Richmond, Virginia.
Oh, okay. I'm going to interview you too. So I'm going to be asking you random questions too as we go. But as follows, I think that in Nashville, follows drop out of classes faster than men. So men will take class all the way through level 4, but women start to drop out like after level 2 because they feel like they're learning on the dance floor. Because in our classes, and I think this is I can even say this for like Congress classes that I've been to, we teach to men. We don't teach to women. So like, unless it's a styling class, but then when you're doing styling and I'm doing another class where I'm like, I'm teaching a styling class, but I'm not teaching shines. Like shines are more choreography for women to learn, but they might not use it. They want to learn how to use their body. So as a follow, dancing becomes more introspective and like internal about how you use your body and how you use your weight and how you respond to people and how you respond to your lead and like what you're doing with yourself and how you're supporting your lead, which I go towards more a little bit in level 3. But how did I get here? Fuck, damn it. I was just like going on, but the question I know
Well,
was
I
like,
won't.
what would I go ahead?
Oh yeah, I mean you said a lot of things and some interesting things. So I guess real quick, quick answer. What is the gender ratio in North Carolina? Is it even or is it more female
Is
to
the
male?
what gender ratio in
Yeah,
Nashville?
yeah.
Um,
As far as like dance classes and dance socials.
in dance classes right now, it's men heavy.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like I'll have classes where I have like 9 leads and no follows.
Mm.
Or I'll have and before it was like reversed, but women felt like they weren't getting anything in class and they were just being drug around by, because if once you learn the signal, you're like, you feel like you have it, they raise their hand, I turn, there's a halo above my head, I go. um so then they just start going to the social. So I feel like in the social scene it's even, but in the classes it's not.
Okay, so let me ask you this then. 'Cause I'm pretty sure that's an issue that maybe a lot of other people are experiencing as well.
Mm-hmm.
Where the follows maybe are not coming to the more advanced classes. Um, do you think there is a way to have the follows more incorporated? Is there maybe specific classes that you could offer or specific ways of teaching? Is there a way to rectify that issue?
Yeah, and I think that just takes, because I will say that I think that my strength is teaching, and really seeing what my students need and experimenting with different ways for learning and knowing all of the learning types and how people learn. Uh, so I have a workshop with my partner that we do a salsa intensive, and we do different drills in that class. And some that's really helpful for the follows is for the follows to follow, because they have to be completely aware of their body. The lead, even then, it takes the pressure off the lead, feeling like the follow is expecting something from them. But for the follows, they have to be more in their body to follow. and they can't look at the lead and like back lead or guess what they can't anticipate. They can't. There is no way for them to anticipate, and they have to stay. And I tell them, I'm like, your job is to maintain the timing. He starts and stops, you maintain. He changes directions, you maintain. So during that, I have the follows just counting the rhythm 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, and but they're blindfolded. So I find that exercise. The women like that exercise a lot. The leads also like that exercise a lot because they actually get to lead their follows. Um, so that's one thing that I like to do a lot. But then I think some of the other things are another thing that I'm going to try is that I'm going to launch a class with advanced leads in Nashville or more experienced leads. They're going to be a part of the class. So they'll be not teaching with me, but they'll be bodies with me. And then the follows will be the ones taking the class. And so they'll get feedback from those leads and we'll break down things that the leads feel and how to fix it for the follow. So the class is catered just towards them and their techniques, their efficiencies, their way of dancing, their everything.
Okay, that sounds very interesting.
Yeah.
Very interesting. Yeah.
I'm excited about those things.
Hey. So let's. I guess let's kind of go back in time. So you said you start taking the classes as often as you can. Um, I guess what makes you start to take it more seriously? And I guess meaning you said you finally got into teaching. So what was that transition period? What made you start taking it seriously to even get into teaching or the thought of teaching?
I don't um so I'm one of those people that people talk about and they're like, that person's been dancing for a year and they're already teaching. That was exactly what happened. I was dancing for a year and then I started teaching. Um, not teaching. So my deciding factor was if I did not go to Naropa for school, because I had been graduated college and then my boyfriend at the time didn't want to move to Colorado. And so I like kind of waited around and then we broke up and then I was like, oh, $180,000 in loans is not responsible now that I'm actually back in the payback period of my undergrad loans. So I was like, maybe I'll stay. So I was really trying to weigh out those. And so I said in Nashville that I was going to start a dance company called Music City Dance Alliance. And so I started that and I had that for 5 years. And it was me, my dance partner, another girl named Stacy. It started with another girl named Kimberly Groves. Um, and then it changed over to where it was me, Odie, CJ Jackson, which I'm not sure if you know her from the Kizomba scene. She does a lot of urban kids, and Kyla Hallams, and then we had a girl who did our photography, Amy Donahue. And so I started that a year after I started dancing because I was just like more of the things that I know from modern and all these things, and I thought I wanted to perform because I thought it would be similar to what it was like in college. Um, but I just wanted a group of people that I could practice with all the time. And I think after I started dancing, because I had danced already and I knew that I loved dance so much, there was no question that it was just going to be. There was never a moment for me where it was like, oh, I'm going to do this all the time. It was just like, I think I had that moment in college. Like, I want to dance. Like, I want to dance all the time. Because after I graduated college, I did freelance dancing for that dance company for a couple of other offshoot gigs and things like that. And so this was just another way for me to continue to keep dancing. So I took it seriously because I took dance very seriously in college and the study of dance and the study of movement, body mind centering, Laban, movement analysis, all of those things were in. I out that was dance based to do that with. So it was never a question of, am I going to take this seriously? It was just like, what dance style am I going to be doing to continue dancing?
So, were there a lack of teachers or like were that's what I'm just curious. Like, were there a lack of teachers or I
No,
guess
there
what
weren't a
may
lack of teachers. There were the teachers. So was like at the time, I think there was Martin and Raven who used to teach at Ibiza. I'm pretty sure there were the La Reina de Salsa in Nashville is a woman named Kendra Murray Lucas, and she I think has been dancing probably like 15 and 20 years at this point. And she was teaching, and she did a lot of Casino Rueda classes at that time. And I joined her dance team too. But I wanted to do like LA salsa mostly. Um, and then I started learning about On Two, and I was confused what On Two was because I would be at home at work like watching the videos but with no sound, and I'm like, I thought on two was going to look like a completely alien dance, but it looks like they're dancing on one. Like I don't understand. And I remember I asked Kendra, I was like, what is it? She's like, if you watch it with the sound off, it looks like it's on one. She was like, they're just stepping on a different timing. And I was like, oh, okay. So like I became obsessed with those type of things. And at the time, actually, when we started, oh, did I lose you completely? I just have a logo of your face of the
Oh,
Two Left Feet
uh,
podcast thing.
oh, my fault. Are
Oh,
we
there you
good?
go. Oh,
Okay.
did it fall asleep? um, so at that time, I think when I started, I loved salsa, but I was more focused on like bachata. So there weren't a lot of bachata teams. I was like a little bit of cha cha. And so, because Stacy loved bachata, and she was like, "There's this thing called sensual bachata, and we should do it." And this was like my back had started to heal, and we weren't doing like nearly all of the things that they do now when they dance sensual bachata. But yeah, so I think I started more on the bachata track, so I came in that way. Like my first ever class was a traditional bachata footwork class.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay, I understand.
yeah.
So,
Now
okay, so
you're getting me to think back. I'm like, wait, how did that start? How did that happen?
I get you, I get you. So, so then I guess the next question being, tell me about your beginner stage teaching. What was it like learning to teach? Because being able to dance and being able to teach are two different skills.
Right, they're very, very different skills, and luckily, um, I will say for myself that teaching is probably like a gift that I have because I remember even in college and in middle school, I'm like, they could have explained that so differently in a way that it would have just made more sense. And so that was something that I wanted to contribute was like how to make sense of these things that we're doing and experiencing in our body. And even in college with like, we had a lot of classes on pedagogy, so how to teach, like how to break down information to make it to where people can understand how to teach to all the different type of learning types, especially movement. So I had that background of already like having learned how to teach and teaching classes to make sure that we're explaining things the best way that we can. So I have that background. And so but the experience of learning and teach, I do remember my first class was at a place called Play Dance Bar in Nashville. Wednesday night. It's run by this woman named Tanya Miller, who's been doing it for like 9 or 10 years now. And she bought me a shot when I taught my first class, and there is video of it on YouTube, and I was lit. I don't drink a lot, and I was tipsy. I
Okay,
should not have taught
lightweight.
that class. I am a lightweight. Like I am a cheap. I'm so inexpensive to buy drinks for. Like, um, I wish I could erase that, but
And
but like teaching from there, like it's just feedback, being open and listening to what your students require and what they want, and like empathy. But I will say that I did lose a lot of students at the beginning because I had been dancing for a year and some change, and I was doing that thing where you're like, what would you tell your past self? And so I was trying to teach that to all my students. And so people would take private lessons with me and like, over and over because I'm like, no, you just need to do more of this. Because I had like coachings with Neri and Gianna. And I'm like, I want you to understand this the way they taught it to me and blah, blah, blah. But they weren't getting it. So then we would be doing it over and over again. And it's like the student's going to get bored. That's not what they came for. They had a question. They want to look cool. They want to do whatever. And people have to have, in this way of learning, they have to have something fun and then go back and break it down. So I think I was definitely an over teacher when I first started teaching. I was trying to do too much, trying to share too much information, trying to help people like with all of like the fine detail. I was doing too much. I was doing too damn much.
okay, so then let me ask you this then. For some aspiring teachers out there, how can they, I want to like learn from your mistakes. So how can they prevent themselves from over teaching?
You're
You
not
know,
going to. You're going to
y-
do it anyway.
okay. So it's just part of the journey.
It's part of the journey. We're all going to be on the same journey, and no matter how many posts people put about people shouldn't be teaching at year one, or what the hell is this person doing teaching, or y'all don't have the experience, what are you teaching your students, blah 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 blah. They all have experienced it before. They like, whether they want to think about it or not, all these people who are dancing now, and there's a place for everybody to share the information that they know. Like There sometimes I'll look at people, I'm like, and I'll think that too. I'm like, why are you teaching? You don't even know what you're talking about. But those people who aren't teachers, or even so I say teachers, but like people who are on the sidelines, like teaching during class or like at the socials, like trying to teach people the steps or whatever, those people are going to be more useful to somebody at the very beginning than a teacher who knows everything. Like they're excited that they just started learning to dance. They're excited. They're going to be like, yeah, you do it like this. These are the steps. And they're going to break it down to where that in Lego block chunks and make it easy and accessible rather than coming into a class that feels super intimidating and the teacher's like, ball flat, your rib cage is supposed to be over this foot, blah blah blah, and doing all of these things. Like, and people at parties are, and people who are not teacher, unless you are that, whether it's sports, whether it's sitting, whether it's running, whether it's swimming, whatever, the body, we have one body, we all have the same bones, the same general structure, like plus or minus some anomalies. The human body is meant to work optimally one way. So if somebody's telling you to like dance with your toes facing in, that's not efficient in anything that you do. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
definitely.
so yeah, so like you're not that doctors correct pigeon toe all the time. Like, so unless somebody's giving you just like shitty information or something is hurting, I don't think that any information that somebody shares is horrible information. They're just teaching you from their experience, and we all in our human relationships and everything that we do is just sharing experiences and sharing knowledge in the best way that we know how. So, and if somebody's dancing with me and I feel like they do something that I don't particularly like, I will let them know. But that doesn't mean that it could be a style. It could be a style thing. Like, it's not.
I get you. I get you. And so I kind of want to speak on what you were saying a little earlier. Because I see that as well. People try to maybe deter someone from teaching, depending on how long they've been in it. Um, and so are you saying that I guess for an aspiring teacher, is it if you really want to do it, just go ahead and do it, right? Maybe you don't have to wait 10 years to learn how to teach or to start teaching.
No, and that is, I know that's like a completely. But where are you going to learn? Like, when are you going to do it? Just in life, the way I do things is like I can't sit around waiting for other people to give me approval to do shit. So if I want to do something, I'm going to do it. And nobody needs to be hating on anybody else's hustle. Like, if you feel like you want to teach, or anybody feels like they want to teach, go about it and be mindful. Like, inform yourself, but inform yourself and make sure you're not doing any harm to anybody. And just do your best and share what you know. Like, there are people now that I see teaching, or even I see their students, and I'm like, ah, damn, I wish I could get my hands on them, or I could get one of my coaches to get their hands on them. It's just that that teacher doesn't have enough experience or enough knowledge yet, but that doesn't mean that that person can't teach them, because that student, people are allowed to make their own fucking decisions at the end of the day. If somebody starts with a beginner teacher and they love their beginner teacher and they swear up and down by their beginner teacher, they're going to dance with their beginner teacher. And if at some point they feel like they outgrow their teacher, then they'll leave. That's it. Like, there are people at all phases. The only person who's allowed to teach Mambo because he was the one that codified the on two steps, and nobody else until they're like where Eddie is allowed to teach. No. So what says who when? Like, what are you supposed to do?
Right.
People teach in their house all the time when we don't know. So why are we mad? I can't live my life that way. There's just too much drama. I used to get caught up in that type of shit. Like, they really shouldn't be teaching. And even sometimes now, like, I'm saying this all high and mighty, but sometimes I see people's students and I'm like, mm. But but
I think it's different.
like, no, go ahead. Let's make
I
this a conversation. I'm tired of just talking at you.
Well, no. I mean, it's an interview. I'm interviewing you, but I think it's different for you as a follow, because if a leader is taught improper, he could potentially hurt somebody. So I think it's very different
Yeah,
for follows out there, and I
it
understand where you're coming from.
it is, but like, I don't have to dance with him.
Wow, you don't know until you dance with them what's gonna happen.
Right, but if for me as a follow who is has danced as long as I have, within the first 5 seconds when they take my hand, I know what the fuck I'm going to get out of that dance. If they're grabbing onto my hand for dear life, I'm not going to allow them that much control. I will not be following. I'm going to be defensively dancing, or I'm just not going to dance with them. But those people too that maybe I won't dance with because they like maybe they're not taking with somebody that I think is teaching them correct information. Or if they're open to it, maybe I can be like, hey, maybe you don't need to be so rough or whatever. But there are people that want to dance with that person. So who am I to tell them that they, because there's somebody for everybody. Like I remember
Exactly.
this they're in the scene lately. Like it's so interesting when you're in a scene long enough and you can just like see the shifts and the tides and like the different teachers, what they bring in and stuff like that. And in Nashville, the majority right now. So we teach all of our leads to be really light and not aggressive. And I've been getting complaints lately from the ladies that are newer that they don't feel like the guys are telling them what to do, that it's not clear. Because when you start, you want to dance with somebody who's a little bit more aggressive because it's easier to understand what they're asking of you. So now it's like we've shot ourselves in the foot because they don't want to necessarily always be dancing with the guys who take class anyway because they don't feel like they're clear, that they're not, but it's that they're dancing at a level where we have taught them what our expectations are, but the follows aren't there yet. So there's
Uh,
somebody for everybody.
yeah, I think also like a counterpoint. I think it's possible to have a light lead but still be clear with it. But
Oh yeah,
I get what you're
absolutely.
saying. I understand what you're saying though.
Mm-hmm. And I teach my leads to like, and I wasn't doing this at first. I was just like, be lighter, be lighter, be lighter. But now I incorporate because I realized what was happening, like taking a step back and seeing, like getting that feedback from people. I'm like, oh, I need to, instead of saying just be lighter, I also need to say be lighter, but then also this is what you can do with other surface area that you have. Like if you put your hand up and you give her like a little bit of the halo and she's not turning, you can put your hand on her shoulder to like guide her the rest of the way. So she's still getting the information that she needs to follow the lead, but it's not you still don't have to be rough. Like you don't have to like pull.
So, let me ask you this real quick then. You've been dancing since what you said, since like 2010, 2011.
Mm-hmm.
And um, tell me this: what are some things that you've learned from dancing that you're able to translate to your everyday life?
Everything, absolutely everything, everything, 100%. Remember, my background was in psychology, so when I DJ, when I'm dancing, I'm looking at people and their interactions on the floor. And when you look at a floor, you can tell when somebody's had a bad day because body language doesn't lie. That's what I was going to go into with somatic psychotherapy, somatic psychology, dance therapy, and that is the study of the body and how body and interaction encourages community and how you can see basically like the body and life. And so everything, like every time I teach my classes, I give real life examples, like whether it's like you're driving a car or if you're doing a turn, like if you're doing a broken left turn, it's like you turn around and then you see somebody you don't like and then you turn the other way. Like all like all kinds of things. Or like even when I'm teaching like my advanced classes, the more advanced the class is, the more it's about life and the incorporation of life into the movement. Like, you know, leads who've been dancing for a really long time, who are super aggressive, um, follows who dance with their eyes cast down all the time, don't smile, and are letting men drag them around the floor, who have been dancing for a really long time, probably have low self-esteem. Like these are things like I see that on every day. You can tell who's fucking, you can tell everything. Like you can try to hide a relationship. I can tell. Like I can see it, especially at the DJ booth. Like all DJs can tell you this because you just sit there and you're watching people. You're like, I want to see you. Like everything. And so everything about dance has translated into my everyday life, especially in the aspect of people and relationships. And of course, like posture and definitely people and behavior and how I interact with people. There's some people I don't fuck with because of how they like some people, how they dance. I'm like, I wouldn't fuck with you in life. Like, no.
Yeah, right. I mean, it can't say a lot about you though. It definitely can.
Yeah. Oh, it does.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I
100%.
definitely. Yeah, I definitely said that. Let me ask you this then, real quick. I guess could you tell me, I guess what are some of your future goals, for and maybe related to dance? Would your ideal future self be a full time teacher, a dance instructor, or?
No. because I still consider myself a hobbyist, even though I spend a lot of time focused on dance. Like after I graduated college, I went back and got a degree in software development, which is like completely left field.
Like
um,
programming or what?
yeah, programming, coding, and so because because at the time I was like, oh, I'm going to be a dance teacher. This is the thing that I want to do. And then I was like, but I don't want to be broke. Like my background with my parents, like Ghanaians, we ain't trying to be broke. Like you need to have money. So they did not come all the way over here. I can quote, they did not come all the way over here for me to be broke. So for me not to be a doctor or have whatever crazy degree. So, but really, I was like, I need to have a backup plan in case dancing doesn't work because I could injure myself again. And so I went for software development. So right now I do digital marketing. And a friend and I are trying to start a business where we do management and congresses because a lot of the times they just don't have the manpower. Usually somebody who runs a congress is that person who just started teaching. They're like, I want to have a congress, and then they do all the things. And so we want to go in and be a support to those type of people. And I would take care of like digital marketing efforts, social media management. And I first wanted to do that for individual salsa artists, but I don't think that they're willing to give up enough. They're Yeah, so it didn't end up working out. But so I'm doing like digital marketing, customer relationship marketing, distribution
Yeah,
lists,
that sounds
that
awesome.
type of stuff. Any digital marketing and building websites because I love building websites. So I still get the creativity of design in that. But all of that encompassing into that type of thing that we're trying to do, but it's still revolved around dance.
Let me
And yeah.
let me ask you this real quick then. Speaking of all that, for people who are, dancers or instructors or
I'm
or
like, my
who
face looks shiny. Go ahead.
for people who who are dancers or instructors, performers, or who in fact want to throw a festival, could you
Mm-hmm.
give me some hints and tips on how they can improve their marketing, their online presence?
Um, oh, yeah, I actually just did a video on this the other day. It was targeted towards independent artists, or no, was it about it was about congresses. The first thing would be to get a CRM, some kind of customer relationship management tool. There's Entreport, there's what can I think of off of is it Radeo or something that's there's one CRM that works specifically with Eventbrite, which I would suggest for people who are doing congresses, especially if you take people through Eventbrite. It can help you. It's like integrated perfectly, and it's $29 a month or something like that. But you have to know your audience. You have to know your customers because your customers are the only reason that the Congress or anything can survive or whatever. And you need to have direct contact with them. I know a lot of stuff works based off of like social media nowadays, but you have to have a web, not just a landing page, a website that can track back so that you can use like a Facebook pixel also. So Facebook pixel, I would recommend for people. Um, you have to attach that you have to embed that in your website, and that can track the people who come to your website. That can track the people who visit your Facebook page. That can track the people who visit your Instagram. You can have it track whether they click on whatever in your, like if you're offering something for the Congress. It can track people who have interest in your Congress, and that way when you do targeted advertisement, you can do it to those people who have engaged with you in some way, but maybe haven't taken action yet, so that you can get them into your sales funnel. What else? Pixel, get a CRM, have a website. Uh, and be consistent on your social media. You have to be consistent. Tell a story and be relational. Because I think a lot of people are just like posting stuff. And I've done this in the past where I just post stuff and you're like, why isn't it? You have to show up for stuff. It can't just all be online. Like you have to go to parties. You have to go to congresses. There's a promoter here not here, in Alabama, Huntsville, Alabama. He does the Atlanta Salsa Bachata Festival. It's in Atlanta. He started in Huntsville. He grew it out of a college. Like the Congress was originally held in a college, university campus. Like when you stayed, you didn't stay at a hotel, you stayed in a dorm. Like he grassroots, this motherfucker wanted to have a Congress. And so even now, seeing how he's evolved and now he's doing it based out of Atlanta, like if not at least twice a month, he's at a congress somewhere promoting his event. So, but like making those relationships, knowing people, having healthy relationships, staying out of fucking drama, super important because you do not want to burn any bridges. You don't want anybody having any kind of feeling about you in a negative way, unless it's something that you just don't stand for or that you know that you don't want to be involved in. But building relationships is the key to having other people help you in your promotions, to having other people who will refer people to come to your event, knowing people who have teams or whatever, if you want those teams to come and perform. And just you in general, it does all come back down to people and relationships and community. So while you can have all of these tech gadgets and whatever, which are really helpful now, but they didn't have those back in the day, they just knew people.
Nah, I definitely understand that. I'm curious, are you do you know of a guy named Gary Vaynerchuk?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I watch him every morning when I wake
Okay,
up.
that's the big one. Yeah, yeah. So I know he's big in like digital marketing as well.
Yeah. Him and then there's this lady that I follow, Aprille Franks, Aprille. I love her because it's also nice to like see people in that space that look like you. So she's like this black lady that lives in Las Vegas, and she don't play no games when it comes to like getting Gary Vaynerchuk. She's just like, what are y'all doing? Why haven't you launched your business yet? Why haven't you all some of these tools and stuff I've learned from just watching her live videos, her free live videos. She's a wealth of knowledge and yeah, but Gary Vaynerchuk, this morning I watched like 3 of his things on Instagram before I got out of bed. I was like, all right, getting my ass up. Got it. Thanks, Gary.
Yeah, all right, that's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, yeah. That's really cool. Let me let me ask you this real quick then. This might be the last question. Well,
Okay.
give
It's
me
big now. Yeah.
can you give me one tip that can make anyone a better dancer immediately?
Have fun. If you're not having fun, why are you doing it?
As simple as that.
That's it. Live life, have fun, enjoy the mistakes, enjoy the process, but you have to have fun on the journey. Like no matter what you're doing, if you're dancing and you're miserable, like what the like no. You have to have fun. It's about having fun. It's about meeting people. It's about being a part of a community. It's about listening to music, even though I don't like listening to music that much. It's about all of these rounding, making it all comprehensive. It's you just have fun. Don't stress yourself out. The learning will come. You'll get better over time. Dancing is not going anywhere. So have fun while you're doing it.
Let me ask you this real quick. You keep bringing up how you're not the biggest fan of listening to music. I know there are plenty of people like you. How do you go about improving your musicality?
That is not a problem that I have. So I wish that is one of my things that I have a weakness in teaching is musicality, is finding the one, is anything that's tied to music because it just clicks in my head. And I used to hate those types of teachers. Like my math, like I am not that strong at math. It's like the numbers just make sense. I'm like, they make sense to your ass. They do not make sense to my ass. And that's how it is with music for me. It makes sense to me. I can't explain it. The only thing I can say is like listen and feel it. And that's bullshit. Like that is not helping anybody. So and while in truth, yes, listen and feel it, uh, listen to it intentionally. Listen to the music intentionally. Find the repetition, fine because I still haven't taken the time because I understand it, I haven't taken the time to like figure out what exactly it is that I'm doing that helps me understand it, which is but is part of my journey and eventually I will grow that part of my brain and my teaching and be able to share that. But right now I would say musicality, listen to the songs, listen to the repeating rhythms, figure out what's actually going on because I did an interview with this guy um, and he's just like, white guy syndrome. I don't understand. Like salsa music is very, very, very difficult for people to understand. There's just a lot of things happening in the music. And I played the violin growing up. I didn't mention that. So, like, I have some experience with understanding music and sheet music and like playing and all of that. I wasn't very good at all. I'm not saying that, but I played violin from 6th grade to college. So, um, the you have to find he said he did not grow up listening to any types of Latin music, blah blah blah, whatever, whatever. And he was like, when I first heard salsa, Hensible Waltz, and I was like, I cannot in any way relate. Like I don't understand. Like I can't how. And so I asked him when I interviewed him, I was like, how would you tell somebody to understand music, musicality, whatever it is that people want to call it? And he was like, you just have to listen to it all the time. And at some point, it will make like it will click and you won't even realize that it clicked. Like you'll feel yourself about to hit a beat, like hit a break, and you're like, oh, like I didn't even know that was coming. And there's things that can be explained in music, like the music going downwards. I can't remember any of these words right now. I want to say decrescendo, but I don't think
I
that's
mean, it's really just
but
noticing the
like
pattern, though,
build down
right?
on music. Right, exactly. Noticing the pattern among a lot of songs, or even within one song, picking one song. Because something now that I do that one of my students asked me to do, he was like, because I was managing the free Wednesday event at Play, so I had a social that I was doing every week. He was like, "Can you do some kind of lists where there's songs that we know that you're going to play, so that we can listen to them all the time, and that when you play them, that we feel like we're acquainted with the music already?" Because I was DJing the event as well, and I was like, "Oh yeah, I could totally do that." So I made a Spotify playlist called More Music Monday, and I release a new 6 songs every Monday. There's 3 salsa songs, 2 bachata songs, and 1 kizomba song, and they can listen to it all week. And I will play it like I do now. I do one monthly Sunday event, and so because I change it every week, they can. I'll play a set with all of those songs, so they'll have recognized all of those 4 weeks worth of music at the social, and then they can feel comfortable. Like I know this song, I know this hits, I know these breaks, I know whatever, and they can sing along if they want to or whatever. So they feel more comfortable. So that's something that I'm doing for my students right now, and just the salsa community in general. Like they'll know what I'm playing. I'll mix
I,
it in.
I like that. And I think that's a really cool idea. That playlist you
Yeah,
make. I think it's a really amazing idea.
thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks to Tim for that idea.
Okay, shout out to Tim, no doubt. Um, See, I think at this point, Nicole, I really want to thank you, for taking time out your day to talk to me. I really, really do appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I appreciate it, and I hope that Two Left Feet blows up and you're
Hey.
like super famous and everybody's like, I want to be interviewed by this guy, and you're like traveling to congresses and doing interviews, and life is great and it's going to be fantastic and you're going to be amazing.
That sounds awesome. That sounds amazing. I hope the same thing, honestly. Let me
You
ask
can
you
make
this
it
real quick.
happen. I know you can.
Hey, let me ask you this real quick. Tell me, what are some of your upcoming events? What do you have going on in your life?
I'm starting a new series of house parties. So I'm renting Airbnbs and throwing house parties. Instead of doing it at a social, at like a studio or a regular restaurant or whatever. So it can be BYOB. But when you come in, you have to put your phone away. So we take your phone and we put a post-it note on it so that you actually have to get to know people so that has to get to know each other. I'm doing a series of interviews similar to this, but I'm interviewing people in the Nashville scene, salsa scene, and I post them in Salsa Around Nashville. So if you weren't at the party or there's somebody that you see at socials that you don't know who they are, like there'll be like a little 5 minute interview with them, just who they are, what their name is, what they do for work, how long they've been dancing, those types of questions. And I just started posting those this week. I'm doing a retreat. I do this like series of events called Nashville Goes To, and they're usually to congresses like Nashville Goes to New Orleans Salsa Bachata Festival. We go to Atlanta Salsa Bachata Festival, but I'm doing in March the 15th of March weekend, Nashville, and I'll be getting all the Airbnbs lined up and everything because there's the National Day of Salsa that weekend, and I want everybody to experience it because I went and it was fucking amazing. And then I have Kedel Flores coming to Nashville in June, and I'm going to do a retreat style thing for that. So I'm going to rent an Airbnb for the guests who are coming from out of town to stay. We're going to have like lunch catered after classes, night of town, like so something stuff that's more. I'm leaning towards things that are more experienced, and bring people together around dancing. So that's my trajectory right now, and we'll see if it changes in another 5, 6, 7 years.
That's awesome. You have quite a lot planned, and I really like that idea. Of like the renting the Airbnbs. That sounds really cool.
Yeah, yeah. They just
Especially
donate to help pay it,
yeah,
and then
and
they
then
just
you're
take
interviewing the
donations.
people. You're interviewing the people who come in as well. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, yeah, it's cool.
That's
So I'm the only one who gets to keep my phone, but but it's on a tripod.
okay.
some in the house so that I could interview them.
Okay, okay, that's awesome. That's awesome. Well, tell me this real quick. How can people reach out to you? How can they get in contact with you?
I have my Facebook page, Nicole La Bailarina. They can find me there. They can add me on Instagram, Nicole La Bailarina. They can check out my, is it Vimeo? I say Vimeo. My boyfriend's like, it's not Vimeo. Vimeo.com. I have videos on there. I'm going to start putting up classes on there. Probably it'll be locked for my students, but if somebody wants, they can contact me for that. And then my website, which actually down offline right now because I'm changing it. Web designer, it's like I'm re-wallpapering all the time. But I'm changing my website around, but it's nicolaballerina.com. Anything Nicola Ballerina, they can type that in, they can find me.
Yeah, so I said I tried to go to, but it was down actually.
Yeah, it's like
Okay.
WordPress site coming soon. It's because I'm
Exactly.
like changing all
Yeah.
the color. I just
Okay.
changed my brand colors. I lost you. Yeah, froze. Oh, I
Yeah.
hear you. There you go.
Dude, I am like, we're gonna find out. We're gonna see how this looks, man. 'Cause I'm gonna keep it 100 been freezing this whole interview. I pray that the outcome is still good.
Okay. If it's
We'll check.
not, we can chop it up into little pieces and make it into mini clips.
Oh, that's what I'm gonna do anyway. That's what I
Yeah, get
do.
your Gary V on.
All
Get your
right.
if you have your content, you split it up for into your
Yeah.
micro content.
Exactly. If you
Get
check out
it.
the
Okay,
Instagram
I
page,
see.
that's like all I do. That's what I do with it.
Oh,
So yeah.
okay, nice. Nice.
Yeah.
Cool.
But Michelle, I want to thank you so much, for taking time out today to talk to me. I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Yeah, me too. I appreciate your time.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. So I guess I guess I'll just ask you this real quick. Is there any last thing you want to get off your chest, before we close this out? Any last words?
Um, everybody get along in the salsa scene. There is the salsa scene, the zouk scene. Like people are like people stole this from so and so, this whatever. We're just dancing. Everybody just dance, have a good time. There is a lot of crazy shit going on in the world, and this is the one place we can all come and be happy. And y'all just want to surround it with drama for no reason. But again, we're people, and we don't have to. We're over here. We ain't got to worry about where our next meal is coming from or where our roof is over our head. So we got to find something else to be threatened by. But find do it somewhere else. Y'all just be happy when we're on the dance floor.
That's real talk. That's real talk.
Yes.
I think that's a great way to wrap this episode. I think this will do it for this episode, the
All
Two Left
right.
Feet podcast. Thank you so much, Nicole.
Thank you.
Hey, enjoy the
Have
rest
a
of your
good one.
day. All
You too.
right.
Bye.
All right, so hey everyone. If you made it this far to the end of the video, I want to thank you so much for just watching this. I really hope that you found value in this. My whole goal in this endeavor is to give a voice to people, to dancers, and to give value to the dance community. So if I'm not giving value, it's kind of pointless. So I strongly urge you to please comment and let me know where I can improve, what I need to do better, what I'm doing wrong, and hopefully what I'm doing right, but my overall goal is I want to give content. I want to be helpful. So please let me know where I can improve upon. I'm new to all this, so I'm learning as I go. So I need like feedback. Please comment and just let me know how I can improve. I would greatly appreciate that. That means the world to me, just to be able to interact with you all, have a conversation with you, and just see what you like and what you don't like. That means the world to me. I love interacting with you all. It means so much to me. But yeah, thank you so much for making it this far into the video. I gotta say, please leave a like, subscribe. If you don't like it, then let me know why not. Hit the down like button, hit the unlike button. But thank you so much. I really do appreciate it.